The prairie wind howled across the endless stretch of the New Mexico frontier, stirring waves through the tall, golden grass like a restless ocean beneath a copper sky. The year was 1871, a time when silence was heavy, and the land itself felt haunted by the echoes of war drums and gunfire that had faded only months before. In those parts, men lived by their grit, their rifle, and the whisper of instinct that told them when danger was near. Sam Carter was such a man, a weather-beaten cowboy with eyes the color of river mud and hands scarred by rope burns and survival. He'd spent most of his life driving cattle, patching fences, and sleeping under stars so bright they looked like lanterns in heaven. His ranch, a lonely spread near the foothills, was little more than a barn, a corral, and a log cabin built by his own hands. He wasn't rich, wasn't poor, just a man trying to live quietly in a land that didn't know peace. One cold evening, as the last streaks of sunset bled over the horizon, Sam heard something strange near the edge of his barn. A faint rustle like a wounded animal dragging through the dust. Instinct made him grab his Winchester, but when he stepped into the glow of his lantern, what he saw wasn't an animal at all. It was a child. A little native boy no older than 8, barefoot, half-starved, his face smeared with dirt and blood. The boy's eyes, wide, hollow, desperate, met Sam's for just a second before he collapsed in the dirt. Sam's grip on the rifle loosened. He could have turned away. Most would have. Those were dangerous times. Helping an Apache or Comanche child could mean death, for their people didn't forget kindness or betrayal easily. But Sam wasn't most men. Without thinking twice, he knelt down, lifted the frail body, and carried the child inside his cabin. He laid him near the fire, wrapped him in a wool blanket, and set a pot of beans to boil. The boy trembled, half-conscious, muttering something in a language Sam couldn't understand. Sam hushed him gently, spooning warm broth between his lips. "Easy now, little fella. You're safe here," he murmured. The boy ate like a starving coyote, eyes darting toward the door every few seconds, afraid someone would burst in and take him away. When Sam offered water, the boy's small hand shook so much he spilled half the cup. That night, Sam didn't sleep. He sat by the fire, cleaning his rifle, listening to the boy's shallow breaths. He knew what he'd done could bring trouble, grave trouble. If the boy's tribe found out, they might see it as kidnapping. If the Army Scouts found out, they'd call it treason. But Sam's conscience wouldn't let him abandon a child to die in the dust. The next morning, the boy woke, confused but stronger. Sam pointed to himself. "Sam," he said slowly, touching his chest. Then he pointed to the boy, raising an eyebrow. The child hesitated, then whispered, "Taka." Sam smiled. "Taka, huh? Well, Taka, you're safe here for now." The boy's expression softened, though mistrust lingered. Over the next few hours, Sam gave him more food, taught him a few English words, and watched him regain a flicker of life. The boy had a calmness to him, like still water hiding depth. Sam noticed the scars on his wrists, the dried blood under his nails. He must have escaped something terrible. Toward evening, Taka pointed to the North Hills and spoke a few words Sam couldn't decipher. The only thing Sam understood was fear in the boy's eyes. "Your people out there?" Sam asked, pointing the same direction. Taka nodded once, slowly. Sam figured the kid must have been separated from his tribe, maybe during a raid or when soldiers burned their camp. "Don't worry," Sam said, his voice low. "You rest here. Nobody's gonna hurt you." That night, thunder rolled in the distance. Lightning flashed across the sky, painting the plains silver. Sam stood by the window, uneasy. He couldn't shake the feeling he was being watched. He checked the barn twice, made sure the horses were calm, then returned inside. Taka slept curled by the fire, clutching Sam's old blanket. Sam felt a strange warmth seeing that, like something deep in his lonely heart had stirred awake. But dawn came cold and quiet, and with it, a silence too deep to ignore. The birds weren't singing. The wind wasn't moving. Then he heard it, the low rhythmic sound of hooves. Many hooves. Sam stepped outside, rifle in hand, heart pounding. What he saw made his breath freeze. The valley below his barn was filled, shoulder to shoulder, with mounted Apache warriors. 200 at least, their faces painted in war colors, their spears gleaming in the morning sun. At the front sat a man on a white horse, tall, broad, with feathers woven through his hair. His eyes burned with authority. Sam's stomach knotted. He knew instantly this was a war chief. "Lord help me," he whispered. He turned back toward the cabin. Taka stood in the doorway, eyes wide but calm. When he saw the riders, he didn't run. Instead, he stepped forward barefoot in the cold dirt. The chief raised his hand and the warriors stopped as one. The air felt heavy, electric like the moment before a storm breaks. Sam lowered his rifle slightly, unsure whether to speak or not. Then, to his astonishment, the chief dismounted and walked toward the cabin, each step slow, deliberate. His warriors watched in dead silence. When he reached the barn's fence, he stopped. Taka ran toward him. The boy spoke quickly in his native tongue, his voice trembling but urgent. Sam couldn't understand a word, but he could see the recognition in the chief's eyes, the mix of relief and sorrow. Then the man knelt, pressing his forehead against Taka's. A wave of murmurs rippled through the warriors. Sam realized this wasn't just any boy. He was someone important. The chief rose and turned his gaze toward Sam. It was like looking into the face of the mountain itself, powerful, ancient, and unshakable. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, the chief broke the silence, his English rough but clear. "You found my son?" Sam swallowed hard. "Didn't find him," he said quietly. "He found me. Half dead by my barn. I just fed him." The chief studied him, eyes narrowing. "You did not harm him?" "No, sir. I just did what any man should do." The chief looked at his son again, then back at Sam. Slowly, he nodded. "Many white men would have left him. You did not." He lifted his hand and gave a signal. Instantly, 2 warriors rode forward, each carrying a bundle. They laid them at Sam's feet, pelts, beads, and a carved bow. "Gift," the chief said. "For saving my blood." Sam blinked, taken aback. "You don't owe me anything," he said, shaking his head. "I didn't do it for reward." The chief smiled faintly. "A man who helps a hungry child when the world is cruel, that man is rare. You are not like others." He turned to his warriors and raised his voice, shouting something in Apache. The crowd responded with a deep, unified chant that echoed through the valley like thunder. Sam felt chills down his spine. When the chief mounted again, Taka ran back to Sam and hugged him. Quick, fierce, unexpected. Then he followed his father. Within minutes, the entire line of warriors turned and rode off, their formation dissolving into the horizon like smoke. The land fell silent again. Sam stood there long after they were gone, wind tugging at his coat, the weight of what had just happened sinking in. He looked at the gift and the pelts, the beads, the bow, and felt something he hadn't in years: honor. That night he sat by his fire, thinking of the boy's face, the chief's words, and the strange peace that had settled in his heart. He realized something powerful. Kindness, even in a world built on fear and division, could bridge the unbridgeable. Days later, a new carving appeared on the wooden post outside his barn, a symbol drawn by Taka before he left. It meant brother. From that day forward, no Apache ever raided Sam's land again. Some nights, when the moon was full, he'd see a single rider in the distance, a shadow that paused, raised a hand in silent respect, and vanished into the wild. And Sam knew that was Taka, the boy he once saved. The story spread across the frontier, about the cowboy who fed a starving native child and earned the loyalty of 200 warriors. Some folks called it legend, others called it luck, but Sam Carter called it something simpler: doing what's right when no one's watching. And as the years rolled on, his ranch became a place where no one was turned away hungry. Not white, not native, not anyone. Because in the heart of the West, where survival was a language of its own, one man proved that mercy was stronger than fear, and kindness could echo louder than gunfire. Voiceover outro. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our journey through forgotten legends of the Wild West. Every click helps us bring more powerful true stories like this to life. Until next time, stay kind, stay brave, and remember, sometimes